Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today I'm doing a Marincess deck profile. So I'm really excited to speak guys because this deck is one of my favorite link-based decks to play with just how consistent and powerful this deck is. Especially once you summon out your boss monster, Aqua Argonaut, which is a crazy powerful card. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Hit that bell in there so you can come part of our notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like getting your name searched for any single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your patron. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Blue Tang. Blue Tang is a definite 3-of in the build because this card is your best normal summon in the deck. And has the ability, if this card is normal or special summon, you get to send a Marincess monster from your deck to the grave, which is always going to be your copy of Seahorse, so you can bring it back later. This card also has a great effect that if this card is used for a link material of a water monster, which it always will be, you can excavate the top 3 cards of your deck, and if you do, add 1 excavated Marincess card to your hand. Also shuffle the rest back in the deck, which is amazing just to give you another plus off this card. We then play 3 copies of Marincess Seahorse. Seahorse is really awesome as a 3-of because you can special summon this card from your hand to a zone a link monster points to, which is a really good effect to be able to do. Plus your copy of Blue Slug can just recover this card back out of the graveyard, so it essentially searches it out off your copy of Blue Tang, which is so cool. I love that about this card, and it's such a powerful 3-of extender in the deck. We then play 3 copies of Spring Girl. Spring Girl is definitely a 3-of in the build, and this card helps you out so much with your combos because you can banish a Marincess monster from your graveyard to special summon this card from your hand. And if this card is sent to the graveyard as a material for the link summon of a water monster, then you can send cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard equal to the number of Marincess monsters that you control. Then if a Marincess card was sent to the graveyard by that card effect, inflict 200 points of damage to your opponent for each Marincess card sent, which is a pretty cool ability just to do a little bit of burn damage while also getting cards in the graveyard that might help you out later. We then play 3 copies of Paskelius. Paskelius is a really cool 3-of in the deck. This card is a great normal summon as well in this build, because if this card is normal or special summon, you can special summon a Marincess monster from your hand in defense position just to extend your plays a little bit further, just in case you don't have your copy of Blue Tang in your hand. This card is the second best normal summon in my opinion in the entire deck, and it's great to be able to use because it helps you just extend your plays. We then play 2 copies of Mandarin. I really like 2 copies of Mandarin in my build because it just helps out a lot in the deck overall, because if you control 2 or more Marincess monsters while this card is in your hand or grave, you can target a water link monster that you control and special summon this card to a zone that that monster points to, but banish it when it leaves the field, which is a great effect just to extend your plays. This card helps out a lot in the deck. We then play just a single copy of Sleepy Maiden. Sleepy Maiden is really cool as a 1-of in the deck, but you don't want to play any more than a single copy of this card because it can break a little bit, but it's great in this deck overall because it has a really cool ability that you can target a Marincess card that you control and special to summon this card from your hand, and if you do, it gains this effect. Now while this card is in the monster zone, the targeted card cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects, and you can also banish this card from your graveyard and then target a Marincess link monster you control and equip it with 1 Marincess link monster in your grave, which is a great effect just to give your Marincess link monsters additional equips to be able to use with Battle Ocean. We then play 2 copies of Silent Sea Nettle. Nettle is really good in this deck as a 2-of because it just helps you make rank 4 plays, and it's basically just a free special summon because if you control a water monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, but it locks you into water for the turn you activate this effect, which is no problem for us because that's all we're summoning anyways. And it also has a great effect that if this card's in the grave, you can banish it, target up to 3 water monsters in your grave, shuffle them into the deck, which just helps you out a lot to be able to extend your plays and recover resources for the grind game. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom's amazing as a 3-of in the build, basically just to use this card to stop your opponent from touching the deck. We then play 3 copies of Effect Veiler. Effect Veiler is great in this build just to stop your opponent's monster effects and helps out a lot in this deck. We then play 3 copies of DD Crow. DD Crow just banishes cards from your opponent's graveyard, which is really big this format, and this card is amazing in this deck to stop your opponent's plays. We then also play 3 copies of Nibiru. Nibiru is really good in this deck just to deal with your opponent's field and just basically stops them in their tracks. This card can win games on its own by just basically getting rid of your opponent's field. Plus it's super easy to out, which is really nice. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is a definite one of in the deck just to stop your opponent from hand trapping you while you're going in for all of your plays. We're then playing 2 copies of one of the most powerful cards in the entire deck, and that's going to be 2 copies of Marincess Battle Ocean. Battle Ocean is insane. This card is so important for the deck, and it's why I'm playing 2 copies in this particular build. You can play just 1 copy, but I'm also playing Pot of Desires in this build, which is why I'm playing 2. It has a really cool ability that all Marincess monsters that you control gain 200 attack points. Also, each one gains 600 attack points for each Marincess card equipped to it by its effect. And also, monsters that you control in the extra monster zone that were link summoned using a Marincess Crystal Heart as a material are unaffected by your opponent's card effects, which is insane when you use your copy of Crystal Heart to make your copy of Aqua Argonaut, because it'll be basically invincible and huge, which is so cool about this card. And when you link summon a Marincess monster to the extra monster zone, then you get to equip up to 3 Marincess link monsters with different names from your graveyard to a link monster, which is so cool about this card, essentially giving it a 2000 attack point boost and 3 equips, which is so amazing. This card is a definite 2-up in this particular build. We then play 2 copies of Pot of Desires. Pot of Desires is great in this deck just to extend your plays. You never activate this card first though. You always activate this card last, as the very last card in your combo, or if you absolutely need it, because you are playing a lot of 2 and 3-ups in the deck, and it's why I'm actually playing 2 copies of Battle Ocean, just in case I do have to activate this card first. You can cut Battle Ocean down to 1 if you want to play, if you don't want to play like Desires and you want to play more hand traps, but I highly recommend playing Desires because it just helps you dig into the deck for more hand traps, because we're playing so many in this build. This card is amazing in the deck, and it's really good in this particular build. We then play 2 copies of Marincess Dive. I feel like 2 copies of Dive is all you need in this deck because it's super easy to get to, and it has the ability you can activate one of the following effects, and for the rest of the turn after this card resolves, you get locked into water monsters, and it has the ability to target a non-link Marincess monster in the grave and special summon it. But if you control Battle Ocean, then you get to special Marincess monster from the deck, which is super cool to be able to do. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to start with 2 copies of Marincess Wave. Wave at 2 is perfect for this deck because it's actually really easy to get to. And if you control a Marincess Link monster, you can target a face-up monster that your opponent controls and negate that face-up monster's effect until the end of this turn. Then if you control a Link 2 or higher Marincess monster, all face-up monsters that you currently control are unaffected by your opponent's card effects until the end of this turn. And if you control a Link 3 or higher Marincess monster, you can activate this card from your hand, essentially turning into 2 more copies of hand traps, which is insane. This card is super cool in the deck and a really awesome card overall. We then play 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Impermanence is really good in this build because it helps you stop your opponent's monster effects, and it's just a great card overall to set to your side of the field and lock down entire columns of spells and traps. It's a great card in this deck. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, guys, we're going to start off with our copy of Marincess Aqua Argonaut. This is our main boss monster that we're going to be summoning all the time, and this card is insane. It's such a powerful card when you have your copy of Battle Ocean on your side of the field, especially if you use Crystal Heart to make this card, which is just so cool. It has the ability that while this card is in the extra monster zone, your opponent's monsters cannot attack any monster except this one, making it basically so it protects all of your other Marincess cards. And also, you can target 1 water monster that you control and 1 card that your opponent controls and return them back to the hand, which is great because a lot of our Marincess cards are extenders that you want back into your hand anyways. And during your opponent's turn, when a spell or trap card or effect is activated on the field, quick effects, you can special summon 1 of your Marincess monsters that's equipped to this card, and then if you do, negate the activation, which is so cool that this card is also a spell trap negate, which is why I'm playing 3 each of Effect Veiler and Imperm, because those cards cover the monsters, and this card covers the spells and traps. We then play a single copy of Bubble Reef. Bubble Reef is really good in this deck because this card helps out a lot in this deck. It's just basically an alternative boss monster you can summon out in certain situations. I usually just go for Aqua Argonaut, but this card is still really good overall. We then play a single copy of Marbled Rock. Marble Rock is great as a 1-of in the deck, so let you target a Marincess card in the graveyard and add it to your hand, which is great to be able to recover cards out of the graveyard, and this card helps you link climb, which is why we play this card in the deck. We then play a single copy of Coral Triangle. Coral Triangle is one of the best cards in the entire extra because it lets you send a water monster from your hand to the graveyard to add a Marincess trap from your deck to your hand, letting you grab your copy of Wave, which is amazing. This card also just helps you out a lot because it's basically like Soul Charge, because it has the ability that if only your opponent controls a monster, then you can manage this card from your graveyard to special summon water monsters from your graveyard whose combined link ratings equal exactly 3, which is going to help you go in for your link monsters and recover back to be able to play, which is so cool about this card. This card is amazing in the deck and a definite 1-of. We then play 2 copies of Coral Anemone. Coral Anemone is great to help you link climb because this card is Walking Monster Reborn. It lets you target a water monster with 1500 or less attack in your graveyard and special summon to the zone this card points to, which is great to be able to bring back one of your water monsters so you can link climb into a copy of, say, Coral Triangle, which is great about this card. And if this card is sent from the field to the grave, then you can target a Marincess card in the grave and add it back to your hand, which is great to recover cards, especially during your combos. We then play a single copy of Crystal Heart. Crystal Heart is in here so you can make your monsters basically invincible when you have Battle Ocean on the field, and this card helps out in the deck for that reason. We then play 2 copies of Sea Angel. Sea Angel searches out our copies of our Marincess spells, letting her search out our copy of Dive or Battle Ocean. Usually I'm searching out Battle Ocean if I don't have it, so this card is amazing in the deck overall just to search your copy of Battle Ocean. We then play 2 copies of Blue Slug. Blue Slug is amazing at 2, is if this card is link summoned, you can target a Marincess monster in the graveyard and add it back to your hand. Also, you get locked into water monsters for the turn, which is not that big of a deal, and the main play you're going to do in this deck is normal summon out your copy of your Blue Tang, send Seahorse to graveyard, link away the Blue Tang into this card, then use this card and Blue Tang's ability to excavate 3 with Blue Tang, and then use this card to grab back your copy of Seahorse, special summon Seahorse, and go into your copy of your Sea Angel so you can grab your copy of Battle Ocean, which just gets your entire combo going. And an easy way to remember that combo is blue for blue and C for C, which is super cool to be able to remember about these cards because your copy of Blue Tang will go for Blue Slug and your copy of Seahorse will go for Sea Angel, which is super easy to remember about the combo. We then play a single copy of World Sea Dragon Zealantis. Zealantis is amazing because you do get waterlocked a lot in this deck, and Zealantis summons back monsters to both players' side of the field by your effect. So you cannot special summon back anything that's not water, so your opponent will not get their monsters back unless they are water off this card's ability. So it's basically a board wipe, which is insane if you combo with your copy of Coral Anemone, which is so cool about this card, and I absolutely love this card in the deck as a 1-of. We then play a single copy of Bahamut Shark so we can make our copy of Totally Awesome. Totally Awesome is totally awesome in the deck because it is a walking negate for basically anything, which is super cool and can also recycle itself. And then we play a single copy of Number 4. Number 4 is great in this deck just to be able to pop cards on the field because all monsters on the field become water, and once per turn during the main phase, quick effect, you can destroy a water monster that your opponent controls, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to half the attack it had on the field, which is an insane ability for this card to have. Plus, it's easy to make rank 4s in this deck. So, that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played Marincess before, you should definitely give this deck a try because this deck has been consistently good and consistently topping ever since it got its support, which is just so cool. And I absolutely love playing Marincess. I played this deck a lot and I highly recommend it to you guys. So, that's going to do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.